room down, don't it?
That doesn't mean you have to stop talking. Just don't talk about people. Well, hey, my watch says 7 on the dot. So y'all good with that? We'll get started. That sound okay? All right, folks. Well, thank you for coming out this afternoon. I know it's a holiday. Most of you all were off work today, but I appreciate you coming out tonight, showing interest in the county and some plans that, I guess plans we need to work together on to establish and start rolling with some things here in the county that we desperately need. But before we get started, I want to thank Aaron Russell and his dad, JT Russell, for coming out and live streaming this. So it is live. So like he said, if you're going to talk about your neighbor, you better whisper, okay, because they're going to pick it up. So we are live with Historic Union County, and thank you guys for coming out and doing this. It means a lot. This way people sitting at home can see what's going on, and I really appreciate that. And we also have several county commissioners out tonight, which I think is awesome. If you're a county commissioner, raise your hand. We got a lot. That is fantastic to have this many people out. Thank you, folks. We have a school board member, Mr. Marty Gibbs here, Director of Schools, Jimmy Carter, Maynardville Mayor, Marty Smith. And we've got people here representing local sports, the youth sports teams and divisions and things that we have. So this is great. We got a good turnout, and hopefully we have even more people watching at home. So here's how we're going to kind of do this tonight. Let me introduce to those of you that don't know, my lovely wife April here. She's going to be driving the computer tonight. I like to refer to her as the First Lady. She loves that, yeah, but anyway, she's going to be doing the driving tonight and the typing. So I want to start the meeting with just getting some brainstorming, if you will, just to talk about what we need here in the county. And I divided that into 3 categories that I want to kind of put together. And then I want to show you input that I have gotten since I've been in office and compare the two and see if they match. And then I want to kind of show you an idea that I have, if you will, to run across to everybody to kind of get the word out to the community and get people talking, and we'll go from there. But let me preface this by saying this is just ideas, okay? This, again, is just ideas. This is us here talking. This isn't set in stone. I'm not trying to push a certain agenda. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to push an agenda. I'm trying to push what's better for this county. So if my ideas up here, if they don't fly, you know what? I'm a big boy. I'll take it back to the drawing board. We'll start over. We'll look at something else, okay? But I do want to get this out here just as a stepping stone to get started, a scaffolding, if you will, to get started on some things that we need to do here in the county. But before we get to my idea that I want to throw out here, let's talk about what we need here in the county. Now, when I was politicking, electioneering, if you will, that's the term in Union County, electioneering for county mayor, there was one thing that stood out more than anything when I was talking to people. And I'll get to that in just a second. But I was actually very surprised by what people wanted when I was campaigning for mayor. But we'll get to that. But if you look, we've got this divided into 3 sections. Community services. Now that can be anything from, obviously, things that the county is offering to our citizens. Youth sports, you name it, a lot of things can fit into that. Education, obviously, our schools, our education, and then anything else that doesn't fall under those 2, we'll put in another category. So here's where we'll start, okay? County commissioners, I'll ask you guys this. When you're out talking to your constituents in your districts, what are some things that you hear? What are some things in the people in your districts, what are they saying that we need here in the county? Anybody?
Stuff for children. Sports fields.
There you go. Community services, First Lady. Will you type that in? Sports for kids. I'll go ahead and just spill the beans. That right there was the number 1 thing that I heard when I was campaigning for mayor. The number 1 thing. Honestly, when I started, I thought it would be mostly about taxes and things like that about the county. No, it wasn't. That was the number 1 thing. We need somewhere for our kids to go, something for our kids to do. By far, the number 1 thing that I heard. What else? Anybody jump in.
Vocational schools.
Okay, good. Education. Vocational. And that's, I'm sure you've heard of the TCAP program that we're lobbying for and hopefully to get here in the county. Yes, sir. Anything else? Keep it coming.
New schools.
New schools. Yes, ma'am.
Better roads.
Better roads. And I'll throw this one out. This is something that's, it's always been a need, but something that you hear a lot more now is a new jail. How many times have you heard that? We need a new jail, so put that under other.
Businesses.
Businesses, yes ma'am. And businesses lead to tax revenue and obviously jobs for our people, absolutely. What else?
Tourism.
Tourism, you got it.
New restaurants.
What's that?
New restaurants.
New restaurants, yes ma'am. New restaurants. And the Business and Industrial Recruitment Board, we met a couple of weeks ago. I have so many board meetings, I can't keep them all straight, but we met a couple of weeks ago. And we kind of determined, as far as new restaurants, we want to reach out to maybe some franchises to come here in the city of Maynardville, because as you know, we have liquor by the drink now in the city of Maynardville. And a lot of your bigger chain restaurants, O'Charlie's and places like that, they won't even speak to you unless they can offer liquor by the drink. So my office has actually reached out to several of those big restaurant chains to kind of say, hey, we're a small community here, we have liquor by the drink, come and check us out, see if this would be a location you'd be interested in. So that is something we're pursuing. What else? Anybody?
Water lines.
Water lines, that's right.
Of course, that three-letter word, no new taxes.
You got it, that's right, that is right.
I guess everyone has heard that.
What, Commissioner Holloway, what's the difference between a penny tax raise and a 25 penny tax raise? Nothing. It's a tax raise. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the amount is, you've raised my taxes, you know? So there's absolutely nothing.
A community college.
You got it, community college.
I would like to see more services for our senior citizens.
There you go, perfect.
Internet for.
Internet? Yes, sir. You're exactly right. Broadband internet. And Becky, you brought that up about services for our seniors. There's a lot of communities that are starting to really branch out and add programs for adults with disabilities. You know, because a lot of your mental health facilities around have closed down and things like that. So there's really not a lot of options out there. So a lot of communities are focusing on things like that. So you're exactly right. So anything else?
I'd like to see a full-service recycling center.
Okay, there you go. And right over there is a solid waste lady, and she grins when I point her out on this. But hopefully that's something that we're working toward.
We're going to be opening bids Thursday night in a meeting that will bring us a few pieces of equipment that will help us move forward with it. We'll be able to handle some items that we've never handled before.
Awesome. You see how easy that was? Your mayor just got that taken care of right there, and you're welcome. Okay?
Are you going to get away with that, Ariel? I can't do nothing with it.
So, anything else? Anything else?
I hear stuff about recycling, and it's probably in his comment, like, people want to be able to recycle stuff.
They do, and I think the problem with that, Becky, was it was going to cost honestly more to take it away than it would. It just wasn't cost effective for us. Is that correct? Okay. But we're looking to hopefully improve that.
Yes.
Very good. Fantastic.
A lot of things in the works.
Very good. Lots of things in the works for solid waste, and I want to shout it from the rooftop, but I have to keep my big mouth shut, and I will. It's hard, but anyway. So, okay, look at this list, okay? I mean, all, especially county commissioners, you're out here running for office and talking to your people. Have you heard all these things? More than likely, you've heard probably just about everything on there, okay? Now, April, if you'll pull up the other one. Now, this is our list. I want to show you my list, okay? Now, look at my list and see if it's not very similar, okay? Things that I've heard when I was campaigning, and in the 6 months that I've been here, this is what I've heard, okay? Under community, a community center, sports fields, sports facilities. I'm telling you folks, I could honestly say that I hear that daily, that we need something for our kids to do. Under education, obviously, new schools, new middle school. You hear a lot about a new Maynardville Elementary School. Better facilities and after-school centers for our kids. Some of our schools have grants through Douglas Cherokee where we have after-school programs. Paulette had one at one time. Paulette lost the grant just because of funding through Douglas Cherokee, but other schools in the county have that. But we don't have a centralized place that our kids could go, okay? It's scattered out among the schools. And under the other category, The jail, obviously, we need a new jail. We're going to have to do something eventually about that. Archive storage. Now, when I say archive storage, that is basically if you think about all the records and things we have here at the courthouse, court records, we actually have a building up on the county lot at the highway department set up for this. But also the people at the Historical Society were asking for additional space to store their archives for the county. And that's very important. That's our history. I mean, we can't just let that sit up there and ruin or go to a dumpster somewhere. We need to store that. I mean, that's stuff that we need to take care of. And meeting space. And you know, that's something that I really didn't think about a lot because, you know, when these people want to meet, organizations and things, a lot of times what it comes down to is where do they have to meet? Where do they have to hold their events? At the
school will let you in.
There, exactly. What school will let you in? That's essentially what it is. So our schools have turned into community centers, just to be quite honest. And when I was a principal at Paulette, and I'll just go ahead and say it, you know, I had people call me all the time wanting to use their facilities, the gym, the baseball field. I had soccer call and ask just to use the little yard out back behind the baseball field. And honestly, that broke my heart. It did, that you all were calling around just to try to find a yard somewhere for the kids to practice. And that really hit me hard to think, wow. And what, you had like 200 something kids sign up?
Yeah,
Like,
we had 225 last year, and we literally practiced in people's.
oh, I know you did. I know you
At
did.
the nursing home,
And
at the church down the road,
Yeah.
at their little backyard. Charlie Lindsay Jr.
Oh, and I get it, and I totally get that. And you know, we've got to do better. We've got to work together and find something somewhere for these facilities to be. But like I said, I mean, the schools really shouldn't have to bear that burden. They shouldn't have to be the ones to allow the community to come in and use their facilities. Because when I was at Paulette, I was very picky with my building. It was brand new. I was picky with it. And, you know, I didn't want to be the bad guy that would say, no, you can't use my building, because I knew they didn't have anywhere else to go, you know, and so we had to do that. We had to let them use the building. But again, it's not the school's place. It's just not. And I found that out firsthand. And then again, you know, I'm not advocating for the schools saying we're going to lock them up and nobody will use them again. No, by no means. But we need something in the county as well, okay? So again, I wanted to do this because I was predicting that our two lists would match really closely, and they did. So let's get to the PowerPoint. So this is what brings me to my ideas, okay? And like I said, this is just an idea. Does everybody hear me? Everybody look at me. Everybody look at me. This is just an idea. People look from home. This is just an idea, okay? Just an idea. Like I said, are there better ideas out there than what I have? Absolutely. Yes, there are. That's why I'm trying to bring people in to get better ideas, you know? I don't have all the answers. I don't claim to, and I'm not going to have all the answers. But, again, folks, just an idea to throw out there. So, looking to put a community center here in the county. Obviously, yeah, we need it. We absolutely need something here in the county. So, if my idea for community center will actually be a community center and more. As you can see, sports fields and facilities, community services, emergency services, meeting space, performance space, you'll know what I mean there in just a second, government offices, and then maybe a couple of school system offices, okay? So basically, I'm wanting this to be a one-stop shop for our county, okay? Go ahead. All right, folks, I guess I shouldn't say introduce, but again, here's my idea, okay? The county union, okay? Now let me explain that. The Union County Community Center, okay? We're Union County, but we need to have a county union. Now, the reason that I say county union, what does union mean? It means to do what? To come together. That's exactly right. So we need a place here in the county that our whole county can use. We can all come together to use the facilities, okay? So that's where the name county union comes from. Now, that name is not negotiable. Sorry, we're stuck with that. Because Jimmy Carter's already told me, you said it was growing on you, right?
It is growing.
It is, but you'll see why, okay? Keep going. It's a good name. Now, look at this, okay? Now, just look, nobody say anything, but look at the floor plan here for our new county union. Does this floor plan look familiar? Raise your hand if you know what this, no, Jimmy. Raise your hand if you know what this building is. Davey, what's that building? Davey. Becky.
That's the middle school, it used to be the old high school.
Yes, ma'am, that is the middle school, okay, Horace Maynard Middle School. Now, as you can see, I've taken the floor plan of the middle school, whited out everything, all the room numbers and all that, and started plugging in different things that we can put in this building, okay? Go to the next one. So I'm gonna basically break it down for you and show you what all I'm talking about. So my plan would be to build a new middle school, and to Horace Maynard Middle School becomes the county union, the community center, okay? So keep on going. Again, just an idea, bear with me, all right? So the first section right here. Now, when I went to that school, it was Horace Maynard High School, because I actually was the second class to graduate from the new school, and I still call it new, it's 20 years old, but the new high school. So I look at that as that used to be the old senior hall, okay, when I was there, but now I think it's the 8th grade hall. But go ahead and hit the button. So in that section, we could basically, the center down the road here that houses Maynardville Public Library, the senior center, and the finance department, and the Maynardville Fire Department, we can move all of those folks up to the county union, okay? That building then becomes open for something else, or becomes property we can sell, okay? It's a big property down there. So that would put Maynardville Public Library, your senior center, the administrator of elections here from the courthouse, because what we have found when it's early voting, a lot of times they have to vote here in the courthouse, and it's a nightmare to get people in and out. So they have actually looked in the past of having an office outside the courthouse. It's not a big deal. That office doesn't have to be in the courthouse. So move them down there, accessible to everybody. The ETHRA office. Now again, have I talked to all these people? No, I've not. So people watching from home, if you're working with ETHRA or whatever, you're thinking, are we moving? Oh my gosh, no, don't panic. I'm just, again, throwing out ideas, okay? The ETHRA office could be there. The health department, I know obviously we have a health department, but they have a community outreach program within the health department. Where better to put it than a community center. Community college classes, like Dr. Carter stated, a Walter State or a Philosophy State come in. What better place to have them than an old school? Okay, we've got the classroom space. And we have a huge dining room and a professional kitchen there. I mean, it's a new kitchen. I mean, it's a kitchen that can be used. It feeds 700 kids every day. Okay, it's a very functional kitchen. Keep going. Okay, you move up to the second section, and that would be, I guess, the older part of the school. Okay, and in this section, the school system. And again, I've run some of this by Dr. Carter, but nothing is set in stone. Again, it's just ideas. Maybe the school system have a few offices there for the parental involvement department. Family Resource Center, social worker maybe could be located there. Central Finance, again, could be located here from the facility down the road here. Solid Waste, there again, I know the office is over there at the Wolf Road location, but one day, if we need to have a centralized solid waste place, we have space for that. Veterans Affairs, the veterans can move their office up there. And then, of course, you have the main office for the community center. Keep going. Okay, the little section over there in red, that section includes, obviously, the auditorium. Go ahead. The auditorium, and then in that section we could have the UT Extension Office, full conservation, and these are two offices that the county now pays rent. We have to pay the landlord in those offices to have those offices there. If we move that to the county union, we own the building, there's rent that we don't have to pay. And the Children's Center, which is now located underneath the Sheriff's Department up behind the Little League field. Here, I've slated 2 classrooms for that. I mean, that's a big open area for them. Keep going. Then obviously you have, keep going, the gym. And around the gym, I basically slated 6 rooms for rental and meeting space, okay? Because I found too, by taking office, that the Paulette building is rented. I mean, it is full all the time. People want the Paulette building or the building over in Sharps Chapel for birthday parties, family reunions, kids, whatever. I mean, they rent them all the time. So we don't have anywhere else in the county to have stuff other than the schools, okay? So by doing this, 6 classrooms that loop around the back end would be available for birthday parties, right there at the gym too, because if you have a child's birthday party, what do they want to do? Eat their cake, go to the gym, okay? And also meeting space. I mean, when you have organizations that want to hold a meeting, monthly meetings, whatever, I mean, we would have that space available. Okay? Okay, then, this is the part that I probably like the most, okay? Now, if you notice, that is what I call up on the hill at the middle school. That's where it was the old vocational school. Most of you know that, know it from that. Keep going. So up there is where we could house all the emergency services for the county, okay? The maintenance department up there, which used to be the old auto department, they have 6 bay doors up there, okay? Our ambulance department right now has 2 bay doors in this little building just right here on the road. Y'all know what I'm talking about. This would give them 5 to 6 bay doors. Also included in their Maynardville Fire Department, we could give them a bay door, Marty, for the fire department, because if we take that building or sell it or whatever, that puts you all out. So obviously we would offer you guys a space up there. 911 and the dispatch center could all go up there. EMA could have an office up there. The sheriff's office could be downstairs in the lower part, and then the county maintenance department can move up there where the old building trades office was. Okay, so it's when you look at all this, I guess the way that I see it running through my mind, I know what all that looks like up there. I walk through it. As I walk through those classrooms, I can see it. I know it may be hard for some of you right now to say, now where would this go? Where would this go? Is there enough room? Oh yeah, there's plenty of room. When you consider what, especially right here, what the emergency service people have right now compared to what they could have in that section up on the hill, oh my gosh, it's 3 times better. 3 times better. Okay, keep moving. All right, this little block right here, that's the basement of the middle school. And in the basement, you have 6 classrooms. And that used to be, years and years ago, I believe the old cafeteria. Is that right? The old cafeteria at the middle school. So
Not that many years and years.
yes, it was. Yeah, a long time ago. But just a Jimmy, not you commissioners. You all look great. You all look great. But anyway, this is the basement of the middle school. And in this area, I think would be a perfect place to store our records, the records that are no longer used here in the county. Of course, we have buildings now for that, especially for the court system. We have a big building for that. But records that come out of my office, the county clerk, the trustee, we basically have a little spot at the county lot behind the maintenance garage that we store everything. So, excuse me. So, I mean, 6 classrooms, folks, that's a lot of space to where we could categorize everything, make it all nice and neat, where we could go in and access things easily. And yesterday, I actually spoke with the Historic Society here in the county up at the museum, and I kind of threw that idea out to them too, that their archives could be moved up there as well. Maybe the archives and things that they don't use that often, just to free up a little bit of storage. So they're kind of rolling that around, and we'll talk to them a little bit more. So, and here's where we get to, I think, where a lot of people are going to be, their ears are going to perk up. The sports facilities, okay? Click. So, as you know, we have, of course, a new baseball field at the middle school. They did a lot of work on that field, and it looks great. So I'm counting 2 fields, because if y'all don't know, the school system owns the Little League field, okay, and it's connected. So if the school system abandons this property and we build a new school, that property reverts back to the county. So the Little League field could become ours as well, okay? So that way we would have a field, well, 2 fields for baseball, softball, however you want to look at that. Football and soccer. It's a nice field down there, folks. I mean, and I know that's where youth football does their stuff right now, and soccer as well. But that way, it would just be for you all. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have to compete with the middle school. They would have their own facility. So, and obviously, the gym. I mean, that's what everybody needs. You know, right now it's basketball time. These school gyms are being used like crazy. That's a nice gym at the middle school, folks. It's a very nice gym. And also, it's set up to where it has the goals on the sides, where for the little kids that play, you could run 2 games at one time, the way that that's set up. And there's bleachers on both sides, where at the elementary schools, you don't have that. Keep going. So now here, I just went through the middle school the other day and took some pictures. Just to give you an idea, some of you probably haven't been in middle school in a long time. This is the library, and as you know, the library is 2 stories. It has a top level, bottom level within the same room. And what you don't see there is there's a lot of little rooms that go off the library too. That would be a lot of storage. And there's a big room down at the bottom that comes off of the library. That would be a perfect place for the computers for Ms. Shantae's program. And you can see it was recently redone too, and it's a beautiful, beautiful library. But if you really put together all the little rooms and everything in that section, it's bigger than the space they have right now. So, and not only that, but think about in terms of security and things like that. There's going to be people in that building all the time. I know Shantae has had, down at the library, has had a couple of nights where there's been some folks lingering outside the library, and it's, and they're women down there by themselves. Sometimes it's a little eerie for them to walk out with their cars at night. So, increase security by bringing everything up here too, all in one. Okay. And the dining room. And again, a lot of work has been done to that dining room to spruce it up, and the kitchen as well. A lot of work's done there. And I thank Dr. Carter if we acquire this one day. Thanks for all your hard work, sir. We appreciate it. But it does. It looks very nice. It's been redone, repainted. And you got to think now, the high school commons area is used for everything. You have an event, it's usually at the high school. But, this is a big facility too. I mean, you take away those tables, and a lot of times when you have big events, the organization rents tables to bring in. I mean, it's very nice. It's a very, very nice facility. Okay. And let me back up too with the kitchen there. As you all know, the senior citizens, they have lunch for them every day but Wednesday, I believe. You got a kitchen right there to make the lunch for the seniors. And the way that I've got it mapped out is that the seniors obviously would have the dining room area, 5 days a week, but then they also would have rooms up in one of the classrooms for computers and different things, programs that Melanie has. And here's the gym. Like I said, this is a nice gym, folks. Huge, a nice floor. You've got bleachers on both sides, plenty of goals around, locker rooms, very nice facility. And here is one that sometimes we forget. The auditorium at the middle school is a nice auditorium, okay? And again, we always focus on the high school. Obviously, the high school is bigger, but look at this auditorium. Years ago, it used to have the old wooden seats. Well, now it has, those seats were donated by Regal Cinema. Is that right, Jimmy? Regal Cinema. You have nice movie theater quality seats in there now. And that middle school, that'll seat around 500, Jimmy?
I'd say.
Around about 500. 500 seats right there, folks. That would, be an awesome place for, one, would be the Union County Opry that 3 of our commissioners have gotten going. That'd be a perfect place for that. They wouldn't have to pay the rent for the high school to do this. And also we could have our community meetings there. County commission meetings could be held right there on the stage where everybody could hear, everybody could see. Your school board meetings, you name it, could be held there. Concerts, plays, whatever. We would have an auditorium and a space for the community to have something like this. Keep on. And these are just random shots of different classrooms. And I wanted to show you this because the classrooms would mostly become office space for different offices in the county, different organizations, whatever. So you got to think, you sit back and look at these as classrooms, but they could easily become offices because a lot of times when you walk into an office, you have a big open area that is usually separated by cubes and things like that. You could do a lot with these. And again, room, a lot of room. Keep going. All right, now, great idea, right? Well, let me stop. What are your thoughts so far? Everybody's just kind of leaning back looking. What are your thoughts so far?
What's the price tag?
Price tag?
Good idea, boys.
Absolutely, we're getting there, but essentially the idea. My thing, folks, if you think about it, you're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, okay? You're going to get a brand new school, plus you're going to get a place for our kids to go, a place for our county to go, and it's going to save us money in the long run when you look at rent and different things like that. It's going to cost money up front, obviously. If you're going to have anything, you're going to have to spend a little money, folks. Come on, let's just be real about it. But I think it's a good idea. Now, a lot of folks have asked, well, why have you not considered Maynardville Elementary? Okay, here's why. Maynardville Elementary, do they need a new facility? Yeah, they do. Okay, the Maynardville Elementary and the middle school, I would say, are probably 2 of the oldest schools that we have in the county. Okay, but if you step back and look at Maynardville Elementary and the middle school, you got to think which one is the most overcrowded right now. That's the middle school. Which one is bigger? Obviously, the middle school. If we were looking to pull in sports facilities and things like that, what school has that? The middle school. Maynardville Elementary doesn't have ball fields and football fields and things like that. Obviously, they have a gym, but that's about it. So that's kind of why I'm leaning more toward the middle school than I would Maynardville Elementary. But at the end of this presentation, I do want to throw something out for Maynardville, okay? But we'll get to that. Okay, keep going.
How many buildings does this clear up, Jason?
Um,
Do you have any idea?
in the county, well, that whole facility down at where the library is, soil conservation, UT, that would free up an office here in the courthouse.
Look on the hill.
What's that?
And then EMS.
EMS, yeah, take EMS out, up on the hill, Janet's right. Basically, everything on the hill behind the Little League field would move down there. Everything. Veterans, EMS, or 911, sheriff, everything, detectives, whole 9 yards. Okay? All right, so just by guesstimating, if you will, and looking around, a new middle school is going to cost somewhere in the realm of $15 million. Okay, Jenny, I think that would be a fair estimate, don't you think?
Yeah.
15 million. Okay. Now again, that give or take a little bit. Okay. Again,
Are you just talking like from start to end, or that's fields, everything?
I would like to look at everything. Yeah. So, and again, could it cost more? Yeah, probably. But is this set in stone? No, it's not. Okay. There again, we have to have a starting point. So keep going. So 15 million bucks, okay? So we can work together. Now again, just thoughts. Jenny and I have talked about this. Okay, let's look at what the school system can do and the county, okay? All right, well, let me back up a little bit. As you all know, the high school is going to be paid off next year, okay? And this is going to come up in my next slide. The high school is paid off next year. When this deal was made, the school system agreed to make a payment along with the county, okay? Really, if you look around at other counties, it's kind of unheard of for the school system to make a payment on one of their buildings because it's the county's responsibility to build the buildings, and it is, okay? Simply because the school system has no way to make revenue. Okay, school system can't say we're going to raise taxes. That's us. We generate revenue from county commission raising taxes. That's how we do it, okay? So we step back, Jenny and I, we just had this conversation in Ann Dyer's office one day. It all started and we probably sat there for 2 hours talking. Well, what if the school system pays, let's say $5 million up front versus making their yearly payments, okay? This $5 million could be used to purchase the property, to get the site prep done, maybe look at how much the sports facilities would cost, the football fields, baseball fields, whatever, maybe the exterior work. Then the county, obviously, would pick up the tab for the 10 million portion of it, and we can make the yearly payments on that, okay, versus the school system, because I know there's been times in the past that, not now, the school system's in great shape right now, but there's been times in the past where, they were looking at budget shortfalls and then looking at a $500,000 payment that they're making every year that really, should they have had to make that payment? Probably not, but that was the deal worked out to get the new high school. And, people are going to do whatever they need to do to get that done. So, keep going. So, like I said, UCHS is paid off next year, and the county makes a payment of $400,000 for that school every year. School system pays $500,000, so they actually pay more than we do on their building, okay? So, that's paid off next year. Now, down there on the bottom, it says the only general debt. Now, when I say general, that's general fund from the county. The general debt from the county now is Paulette Elementary, along with, if you remember, when Paulette was built, 3 other schools received extensions. What's the word I'm looking for? Additions. Thank you, Jimmy. Received additions. Big Ridge, Lupton, Sharp Chapel. That debt will be paid off in 2026. Okay, that's not a long ways away, folks. I think that's 6, 7 years. Okay, keep going. So Paulette is our big debt. Okay, now can we afford it? If you look at the debt that we have right now, considering the size of our county, we don't have a lot of debt. We really don't. I mean, compared to our budget, what we pay out every year, and what our fund balance looks like, we're doing okay financially. Can we do better? Yes, but we're doing okay. Other debts that we have, the ambulance service bought an ambulance a couple of years ago. They're paying for that. General doesn't pay for that. EMS pays for that. The highway department bought a dump truck. They're still paying for that. Highway pays for that, not the county. School system energy bonds that we still pay for, school system pays for that, not general. So when the high school's paid off, the only debt that general is going to be paying is the Paulette debt. That's it. Okay, keep going. Now, okay, Ms. Dyer and I met with a financial advisor, it's probably been a month or so ago, to look at our debt here in the county. And like I said, our debt is not bad, folks. It's not bad at all. If you look, considering what we have versus our budget, we're doing pretty good. So we would be completely debt-free in 2030. Okay, keep going. If we didn't do any other projects, okay? So, okay, I'll leave that at that. Keep going. Now, what's next? Are you raising taxes? Well, click. Maybe not. Because, think about it, folks. Next year, we're going to be freed up on a basically $500,000 payment that we've been making, okay? Now, is there money in debt service that can be pulled out? Probably. There again, we got a plan. We got to sit down. We got to look at this budget. We got to see where money can be pulled, what we can do to adjust some things around. This possibly could happen without a tax raise, okay? It's going to take some creative thinking, but it might be able to happen. Keep going. Okay, now, think about this, okay? Reallocating some funds that are already existing. Now, the departments that are moving to the county union, now think about this. Every department in this county has their own budget. And within those budgets, you have line items for maintenance, the rental, utilities, custodial, and the phones that they pay out every month for their particular office, okay? All these departments that are moving to the county union, that money then becomes money that could be reallocated to the county union budget for the upkeep and the running of that building, okay? And another one down at the bottom, and again, nobody throw anything at me, just an idea. As of right now, for the sports teams, we contribute, what is it, $5,000? Is that right, sports folks? $5,000 to nonprofit sports. If we are providing them a place, their facilities, that's money maybe we wouldn't contribute anymore. That money turn right back around and go toward the upkeep and the facilities for the community center. Okay? Keep going. Now, also generate revenue. How can we generate revenue there? Well, the rental that you would get from the meeting rooms for parties, for whatever, trust me, if you give them a place, they will come, folks. Because again, when I was at Paulette, somebody called them on that building all the time. And I can show you the books right now about how often we book the county buildings. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're used all the time. And rental from the big events, okay? And hopefully if we get this started years down the road, however long it may be, then that becomes the event center, not the high school. If people are going to have big dinners and things like that, obviously we're going to charge rent for that, okay? For the custodians or whatever, we'll charge rent. And then again, just an idea, throwing it out there. If we're charging gate for the youth basketball, for youth football, soccer, whatever, then the county union receives a small percentage from that. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to take all your all's money, because, and you all being the sports folks here, if we're taking your $5,000 allocation away, then obviously you need a way to generate funds. So, of course, you would be able to get money from that gate, but a small percentage of that would come back to the community center to help with the upkeep, okay? Oh, and also ticket sales, like if we have events in the auditorium and things like that. Obviously, any type of big event that goes on, maybe, we could generate some money from that. Now, think about it. The major costs you're going to have with this. Well, every office that we're moving down there, well, the employees go with them, okay? So all those offices are fully manned. So what would you need for the building? Well, obviously, you need a director for the entire facility to plan everything, to keep things set up, somebody working the office, and custodial staff. And if you think about it, folks, that's about it. That's all you're going to need to run that, because every other section of every other office in there has their own staff, okay? Well, would we have to hire 1, 2, maybe 3 custodians? Possibly. That's a huge area that has to be cleaned, okay? But, there again, if you're going to have something, you're going to have to pay for it, okay? Now, also the utilities, obviously we'd have to pay for our phone, our power, our water. But again, a lot of those offices that go up there have that in their budget. So that money can be reallocated for the use of that building. Okay. Now, here's what we get. Now, and some of this you may look at this and think, oh, this is trivial, but this is a big deal, okay? Obviously, we get that big, huge, free building, okay? And that building's old, but it's not in bad shape, folks. It's really not. It's a solid building. You get the fire alarm. That's huge, okay? That we have a building that's already equipped with a fire alarm. Your network is your internet. There's a network that goes to every single room in that building, already ready for the offices to plug up to the internet and take off. Already ready. Your phones are already there. Phones in every classroom, phones in all the offices. You have an intercom system. That's huge. And then, you know, what furniture that they don't take with them, if they're going to buy some new furniture, maybe we could work out a deal, wink, wink, nod, nod, right, Dr. Carter, that we could keep some of the furniture there. Okay? Keep going. So, what do you think? I love to hear crickets after I talk. You know, that's so reassuring. So what do you think? Let me hear it.
I didn't see a place, and I don't know if it was in the plan, I just missed it. Is there, if we wanted to bring in a Walter State, is there an area that could be used for that?
Yes, sir. I will bring it back here. 8th grade hall.
Okay.
About 4 classrooms in 8th grade hall.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And again, where I have these offices placed, folks, that's just me sitting down with a blueprint, writing in names, okay? If we get this off the ground and we get going, heck, who knows where we'll put everything. But, yes, we've got plenty of space in this building.
I do want
Sure
to
do.
say Walter State, the only holdback out of Walter State here is having a facility.
There you go.
That's the only holdback for Walter State coming into our county, is a facility.
Yep. Heard it here first, folks. And again, an old school, are you kidding? That's ideal. I mean, that's ideal for them to walk straight in and start. There you go.
So you show us on the pros what's the cons there, Your Majesty?
There are no cons. This is the best idea you've ever heard of. There are no cons. No, I mean, honestly, the cons are, and here's what I know is going to be said, okay? And for all you folks out there in internet land, you heard it here first, okay? Jason Bailey is from the school system. He was a principal. All he wants to do is build new schools. That's what's going to be said. No, it's not. Okay, no, it's not. Do I want new schools? Yes, we want new schools. Who would not want new schools for your kids in your county? Come on. But by looking at this, was it my goal in life to build a new school if I was elected mayor? Absolutely not. It's to improve the county. To me, there I said, folks, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You get a brand new school, which we desperately need, and a facility for our kids and for our community, which we desperately need. That's what I'm looking at, okay?
And probably 2 years before we ever thought about running for an election, we were having this meeting with the school board, with the county commission with us.
Yeah.
So we'd already talked about planning for the future so that we don't get like we were with the high school and have to have a building and planning it 5 years out, not planning it for the year we need it.
Yeah, and that's, you know, folks, and that's just the history of this county. You all know that. Excuse me, a lot of you have been on county court for a long time. What we've done in the past is we have waited until it's a have-to case. And we have no other options. We got to build a new school, we got to build a jail, whatever. If not, we're going to get in a lawsuit or something. We're always held to the fire to do something like this. Why not be proactive on things instead of reactive? If we're proactive and we start by looking at this, is this going to happen next year? No, obviously not. But it's a stepping stone. It's a time for us to plan and maybe have a 5-year plan and say, hey, in 5 years we're going to do this. The next 5 years we're going to do Mainville. The next 5 years we're going to do this. Why not? I mean, a lot of your big counties, which I know we're not to that point yet, but a lot of your big counties, I mean, they have building programs. If they say every 10 years we're going to build a school, every 10 years we're going to build a facility for our government. You know, that's what I think we need to work toward. And look what a good shape we're in financially right now. Folks, we're in a better shape financially than we've ever been in this county. Is anything I've done? Absolutely not. I've been in this office 6 months. I've not done anything as for this. But that's just your past mayors, your past county officials. I credit Larry Lay was county mayor, Mike Williams. They've done a lot for this county to look at finances and getting things the way they need to be. And for us to have the high school paid off and only have 1 debt next year, that's huge, folks, for a county of our size. That's something to be proud of. It really is. So we've got this tax revenue coming in. We need to spend it. You know, I'm not saying spend every dime that we have, But why are we charging that much in taxes, and why are we collecting this revenue if we're not gonna do something with it, if we don't have plans with it? It's just gonna sit in the bank. You think about it. It's time for this county to be proud of something. I'm so sick of hearing, oh, it's Union County don't have anything, we're never gonna have anything. Yeah, we can. We certainly can. We can have just as much as any other county around us if we plan and we're smart about it and we do it right. And that's just my humble opinion.
Well, I appreciate getting this out, because people in the county need to know this.
Yes, sir.
Instead of, I know I was mayor once, and it's tough. And this is the way to do it. Even if you're against it, you still got it out there.
Absolutely.
And you get it out to the people, and it starts talking. That's what you want. You want people to get involved. But I just don't believe you can build a middle school for that much money, which would probably cost more.
Well,
you're talking about a football field, and soccer field, and all that.
And
But that's a start.
it is a start. And again, have I reached out to any architects? Lord have mercy, no, not at all. This is just me throwing it out there. You know, if the county has to give a little bit more, if the school system give a little bit more, that's in the future. You know, that's for us to sit down and
Plan on
figure out.
middle school, first thing you need to do is look for some land.
Absolutely.
I mean, you gotta have land before you can.
Yeah. And you know where I would not want a new middle school? On the main road. I would not want a new school on the main road. And again, I think Dr. Carter and I agreed on this too. Number one, you're taking away some of your prime real estate for tax revenue. The school system doesn't pay taxes, so.
If you were to acquire a middle school and do take over the Little League field and the 911 that's above it, that's all very easily turned into commercial property. Because the Little League field, I mean, it's right on the highway,
But we want to keep the Little League field.
but then you've got a field right down below.
You do. And there again, it's an idea, right?
I mean, they're only 2 teams per acre.
Right. Yes, sir.
Marty may have some insight on, because we were looking at different costs. That was 2 years ago or a year ago. And I don't totally remember it. It's,
I don't remember it too well either.
Let
I
me
can look
introduce this
back.
fellow right here so you know who he is. He knows what he's talking about. Marty Gibbs, school board member, also the president for Rettenbach. Crispin, vice president. It's a construction company in Knoxville. So, Mr. Gibbs, what do you think? What's your idea? You do this every day.
Yeah, I mean, it may not be enough, $15 million. I think we're building an elementary school right now for $20 million. So, it very well may be more than that. And Jimmy and I have looked at some numbers on it, and we could refresh those and share them with you.
Great.
Very quickly on some historic data of schools in the area. And in East Tennessee, so I'd be glad to do that. I was also going to ask you, what about the surplus value of the properties, that would be vacated? Have you looked at the revenue that could be generated from that?
I haven't. I mean, just, like I said, throwing it up there that we could sell the property where the library is and sell, that would be revenue that, if we decide to do that, the revenue we get from that, the sale of that, turn around and put it into the middle school or the community center, however we want to do it. A lot of options out there. But that's good thinking.
Prime real estate there with a lot of value.
It is,
And the EMS, I mean, it's on.
Possibility, yeah, it's right there on the highway. And the reason that I say 15 million, when we built Paulette was $6 million, okay? And when I was principal there, I know that school inside now. When I look at that, that's a nice facility. Paulette is a beautiful facility. And it only cost $6 million. But there again, you gotta think, it is a prefab building. Number one, it's a lot of metal and tin and things like that. But it's a beautiful facility. We built everything in that school needed for $6 million. Plus, put some additions onto the other schools for around another $1 million. So when I was saying 15 million, now again, that was in 2011. That's been several years ago. But still, we got an elementary school for $6 million. So maybe we could get a middle school for 15 million. We don't want the Taj Mahal. We don't. We want something nice. We want something nice for our kids and something nice for this county, but, we don't have to build something spectacular, but we do need a nice new facility.
Well, you're talking about building it off the main road, but what are you gonna do about transportation?
Well, if you put it, I would like to put it somewhere still in the first district, because that needs to be your center, because all the other schools are sending their middle schoolers there. But if you think about it, the way the buses are set up now, with the transfer buses and things, It'll work out. It's just as simple as the ones that go to middle school now would now go to that new location. Now, honestly, right, Jimmy? I mean, that'd be the only change.
They're all feeder buses that come to the.
Exactly, they're all feeder buses, that's what I was looking for, yeah, feeder buses, so that shouldn't be a big deal. And another thing, I didn't throw it in here, but the Boys and Girls Club. Boys and Girls Club will come to your community if you have somewhere to cook, okay? And there again, what's the number one thing the Boys and Girls Club looks for? Old schools. That's ideal for them, an old school. There again, a place for our kids to go after school, yes sir.
What would we do if we went forward with something like this, and you're talking like a 5-year plan down the road? We've got to plan on this jail in that same time period, because you know it as well as anybody here. We're fixing to get some big trouble over the way the jail down here with 100-some prisoners in there, people sleeping on the floor, and
Yeah.
that's gonna come up.
I totally, yeah, I agree, it is, and
How could you swing two projects like this virtually at the same time? How are we gonna do that?
I don't know about swinging two, at the same time, but I mean, the way you gotta look at this, I guess you gotta step back and see, again, just an idea, but which one is the most important? Which one is gonna get the biggest bang for your buck? And again, I'm not saying that you forget about the jail and do this, I'm not saying that at all, but that's where we gotta work together and sit down and make out a plan. What do we wanna look at first,
Which I think what you're talking about is a great idea.
Yeah. And when you talk about in the community, and again, do we need a jail? Yes, we do need a jail, 100%. But when you go out in the community, if you even talk about raising taxes a penny, what would people rather pay for, a new school or a jail? And I mean, and that's what you always hear. Whether is that, do we need a jail more than a school or vice versa? I don't know. But that's what the feedback we get from the community.
The feedback is if we raise taxes as soon now as it has been in the last few years,
And there's even been thought, and it's not a bad idea, I don't think. I mean, you gotta look at your cost of living. Everything goes up every year. What about if you gradually, increase taxes by a penny or a half a penny every budget year, to build that up? That's been thrown out there too. Again, is that something I'm supporting? No. Is it something I'm against? No. But again, it's an idea, to maybe look at.
How much did the high school cost?
It is right around 15, 16.
But that's 20 years ago.
Well, I mean, I was just trying to think of numbers on your mortgage payment.
Right. So, I mean,
Well, we don't want to forget Banghamville Elementary.
yes, ma'am, and
Because they got shafted.
there you go. Click. Okay, now, look at my little guy there, okay? Now, my little guy there, what does his book say? Thinking what? Outside the box, you got it, okay? Now, don't click it yet. I don't want the tomatoes thrown. There again, just an idea, okay? Keep going. We need a new jail, right? We need a new Maynard Elementary. Click. Paulette will be paid off in all the additions in 2026, okay? Build a new Maynard Elementary, Maynard Elementary becomes a jail. Okay, now again, before you all look at me and say this will never ever work, I don't want to hear naysayers, okay? Bear with me, listen to me, okay? Click again. Think about this. Your classrooms become the cells. They're block classrooms. They're block rooms that have windows. Put bars over the windows. Your kitchen and your cafeteria. You know what the kitchen looks like now in the jail? That jury box. Honest to Pete, the jury box over there is the size of the kitchen in the jail. And they're feeding 100 people 3 times a day, okay? You got a kitchen, you got a cafeteria, a gym for the physical activity for your inmates. You got office space for the, right there again, the office space probably for the administration in the jail is probably the size of that side of your courtroom up here. Huge area down there. And a sally port. Anybody know what a sally port is? A sally port is, most jails now have a place where the police can pull in if they have an inmate taking them to jail. And basically it's an area they can pull in, a gate shuts down, they take the inmate out of the car and take them into the jail. Right now, you know what our sally port is? The sidewalk. I mean, they're pulling up, bringing the prisoners. Sometimes they have to park at David Myers' office and walk the prisoners across. there's room to put a Sally Port at Maryville Elementary. I know you guys don't know the area over there, maybe not as well as me, but I'm thinking where the kindergarten rooms are over there, an area right in there would be a good Sally Port area, okay? Again, think about it. Why not? Just think about it. I mean, would the renovation be more than it would be worth? Possibly. I don't know. But I'm throwing it out there. Again, you're going to kill two birds with one stone with this project. Maybe convert that into a jail. Maybe it wouldn't take that much. You know, think about it. It's a block building. What else do you need for a jail? It's a block building. Okay? Keep going. What else do I have on there? Oh, and not only that. Think about it, folks. That frees up the entire bottom floor of this courthouse. I mean, that could be used for something else. It'd be a lot of renovation down there, but it'd be used for something. Storage, if nothing else.
That's for all your archive stuff there.
Exactly. I mean, storage, if nothing else. But again, these are just ideas, folks. It's just, you know, when I ran, one of my platforms was we got to think outside the box a little bit. This is what this is, okay? Thinking outside the box. To say, you know, if we do, and I know I've said it 1,000 times, but I'll say it again. If we take on big projects like this, that we have to increase revenue and raise taxes a little bit. I think when the citizens see what they're getting for their money, they're getting a new school, they're getting a community center, they're getting another new school, they're getting a jail. You know, we're getting all this together. You know, it may be, you know, folks may be able to take that a little bit better. You know, like I said, raising taxes, it's not popular, but do you want to have something in your county for people to do? Yeah. What do you got to have money to pay for it. And, you know, we need to sit down and look at this and see where money is that we can reallocate. Absolutely we can. But if we want to do something, you got to have the money to do it. Plain and simple. There's no other way around it. So, let me hear some feedback. What we got? Yes, sir.
Jason, for just a moment, I want to speak on behalf of the Historical Society, going back to the slave layout that you had. I got a subpoena yesterday to come and express their thoughts. Miss Wanda and Martha Carter has expressed that they would have no interest in going to the union
Right.
on that, and they asked me to bring that up. But a couple of questions I had, you brought up a reallocation of funds. Do you have any idea what that dollar amount would be annually?
I don't. And I mean, I have the budget and I can work that out and let you know, but no, I didn't figure that out.
The next question I had was, Mr. Gibbs brought up the vacant properties that would be freed up to look at the value, I guess the tax value of that. And the next question I had, you talked about turning the elementary school into a jail. Would it not be more convenient to turn it into a justice center and move the courtrooms over there? Because we're going to have a liability of transferring prisoners from there to here on court days, and that's a liability.
It could be, and I mean, and when I was sitting down thinking all this up, like just thinking about Maynard Elementary, the library at Maynard Elementary would be a great courtroom. I mean, it really would. You know what I mean? There could be some work done. Absolutely, that's an option.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
sure.
just thinking from a liability standpoint, we got a great liability downstairs, and we're trying to eliminate that. But when you start putting prisoners in transport from point A to point B, you're running another liability.
Oh yeah, you sure are.
And like I said, if you're going to do that, my thoughts would be to move everything there in one place. You're centrally locate everything there and just operate out there.
We added parking as well.
And again, absolutely. I mean, if that's something that we could do and look at, I'm for it. I mean, yes, sir. Absolutely. What else?
I think you could save a bunch of money if you did use the school down there for the jail, because when we start building a justice center, it's gonna cost a bunch of money.
Well, Sheriff Breeden and I went over to Granger County and looked at their justice center, and I think they built it back in 2011 or something like that. I don't know. And it was around, I think, $11 million. And if you look at theirs, you walk in, the first section is the 911 center. Their EMA, I think, is there, and your Sessions Court and Chancery Court are all right there in the front. And then it connects to the jail in the back. So, you know, I even looked at the blueprints. I had them pull the blueprints down and look at them. And basically, you could, you know, cut one of those off and just have your jail part or put them together. And yes, I mean, Maynard Elementary, it's big enough to have something like that. It really is, you know. But there again, It's,
Which Marty Gibbs back there, I mean, he's in that business, and, you know, I could probably give a rough estimate of what it would cost to enter, or to turn the elementary school into something like that. Because if you could, then you got a big cost that you're gonna save.
right, and you gotta think, even if there is a lot of renovation to that building, you've still got the building. You know what I mean? You're not starting from the ground up.
Structure there.
You got the structure, yeah.
Well, have they just not replaced air units or something on top of that thing? What, they've been working on top of it?
New roof, put a brand new roof on it.
Are there any grant monies out there to help with this?
Not a lot. When it comes to new construction and things like that, I mean, obviously, we'll research everything we can, but
Not even on renovating the elementary school, there's no grant?
I've not looked at anything like that, but, I mean, I'll definitely look. What's that?
I think there's.
Yeah, and we'll research that, absolutely. So, county commissioners, what do you think? You all are the ones making the decisions, what do you think?
We're not gonna vote tonight.
I mean, we've got enough here for a quorum, why not? You know? Absolutely.
I'll have to just say, I appreciate the vision, that we've got a vision, whether it goes through or not. I just appreciate you working on your vision.
You're welcome, and,
Yes.
and not just because it's me, but I mean, I just think that's what we're gonna have to do. You know, we're gonna have to get some plans together and formulate a plan and work with it and go with it, you know? And again, like I said, I can't say this enough, but we're in good shape financially, folks. When that high school gets paid off, we're in good shape. I mean, we are. It's time to do something. It's time to jump and get some plans and get something good for this county.
I will tell you,
It's
this
time.
addresses a lot of needs. It takes care, because we probably need a new middle school, just for the population. We definitely need something for the youth. I mean, I'm not saying just for the football, but we practice just like soccer does, at 3 different locations during the week. We'll practice Monday at the middle school, Tuesday at either Paulette Elementary School or the high school, depending on whether they have soccer games. And then Thursday, we're at the high school or Paulette, depending on home football games for the middle school. And then Saturdays, if somebody hosts a tournament, and it accidentally gets scheduled on a day that we have a home game, that's, you know, you just keep running in circles, and then contacting and dealing with school systems. You'll go to call one person, well, you don't need to talk to me, you need to talk to so-and-so. And I mean, it just gets, for the volunteer effort, it gets overwhelming.
And that's a good way to put that, because the folks doing all these youth sports, they're volunteers, folks. They don't have to do that. And it's a wonder, you know, if it were me, probably, I'd throw my hands up and say, forget it, we don't have anywhere to play, I'm done. You know, but I'm glad we have people like you all that stick with it. I mean, and what have we always said? You gotta have something for your kids to do. If you don't have something for your kids to do, what are they gonna do? They're gonna get in trouble. You know, and I mean, youth sports, that's an easy thing to do. You know, we need to have facilities to do that. So.
You compare us to Granger County, what's our
Jason,
tax
I
rate
think it's pretty smart.
compared to Granger County?
Our tax, well, here's another thing, let me throw this out here too. If you look at our tax rate compared to the other counties, we're the lowest around, by far, the lowest around. Marty, I know you say Granger County, right now we're at 214, I think Granger County's like at 230 something. Now, I may be wrong, but I know it's more than us. So, again, do I want to raise taxes? No, I'm not up here saying, we've got to raise taxes, absolutely not. But folks, when you look at our tax rate, we're getting a deal here in Union County. We're getting a deal.
I need to trade my tax bill with you.
No. No, thank you.
Don't ever fantasize about the people out there understanding the tax rate, because they never will.
No, they don't, but there again, I think the majority of folks, when they see that they're getting something from their money, I mean, you know, it is what it is.
When they
Nobody
built the
wants to
high school, the election after they built the high school, both of our 3rd district commissioners got beat.
Yeah. Well, and let me say this, and by saying this, and county commissioners, I want you all to hear this, and by saying this, I mean no disrespect, but here's what I think about that, okay? Are you in this job to be a politician or to be a leader? Because If you think about it, if you're in to do the right thing, you're gonna do the right thing for your county, whether it costs you votes or not. If it gets your butt beat, you get beat. If I get beat over this, I get beat. Hopefully Dr. Carter will give me a job back at the school.
He's just on loan.
But, let me use this example, okay? And I'll bring up my dad. Everybody knows my dad, county commissioner for several years, passed away with cancer. He was with the last tax raise, he was the one to either bring it up or vote on or something, I don't know. But the whole time that he ran, people, you're gonna get beat, Bailey, you're gonna get beat because you raise taxes, da 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 da. The man was sick with cancer, never left his house, and won by a landslide. Why? Because people saw that we needed that, and that money was to be used for this county. It didn't cost him one vote, not one. So, are you gonna be a leader, or are you gonna be a politician? That's just the way I feel about it.
Well, I'm the same way. I mean, I'm here for 4 years, so don't throw me out before.
Absolutely.
I'm not worried about getting
I'm
beat.
gonna do what I need to do for this county. If I get beat, I get beat. It's that simple. And I'm in here for 4 years, I'm gonna use my platform to do everything I can. And that's the way I see it.
That's the way it
It is, and I want to challenge you all
Don't get
too.
it in your head that there won't be consequences.
Oh, well, I get that, but you know, again, it is what it is. You do what's best for the people, that's why we were elected. Not for popularity, we were elected to do what's right for this county, and I truly believe that.
I was actually one of them that made I think he made the motion and I seconded it. And I got very few complaints. I actually got thank yous because they see what the money was,
And didn't you leave the ticket in the first, didn't it?
Well, that don't matter.
Yes, it does, because that proves my point,
I'm
yes.
saying that I had very few people. I mean, I probably can count on this that complained about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were.
And Bill, I get it, buddy. I mean, I totally get it, but that's just the way I feel about it, you know? And I challenge you commissioners too, when you leave here tonight and you go out and talk to your constituents and the people that are gonna watch this video, don't be a naysayer about this. Go out there and be positive. Don't go and say this mayor's lost his mind. If you don't like my idea, great. But don't go out and trash our county and trash what we're trying to do here. We're trying to set a vision. We're trying to go forward. That's all I ask out of you. That's it.
Well,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
you know, when I was mayor, I was for building schools, and everybody wanted a big justice center. I said, we're building schools, we ain't building a big justice center. They spent $1 million on the jail, and it's lasted, what, 6, 8, 10 years? I don't know. Or 12 years.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm not for building a big justice center neither. Still yet, we've got a courtroom, downstairs, we've got a jail, it is overcrowded. Well, I went to federal court once when we got sued, because, but you know what the judge said? You've done a good job up there. They didn't get a dime.
And you know, there is no rule on how many
No,
people
there's
you
no
can put in
rule.
jail.
People
I mean-
in jail, there's no rule how many you got in jail.
Yeah, the inspector, I've heard out of his own mouth, say you can stack them in there like firewood.
And
That's
I'm
what he
not
said.
for
There's
stacking
no
them up
rule.
like that.
I'm not either, but you
But you
know.
don't have to build a big old justice center of $20, $30 million for these people in jail.
But you know, when that was on Facebook, you know, we had to take the tour and that was on Facebook, the community spoke. They didn't care that the people were taxing down there.
They did, and you're
They
right.
said, look at our
They should have been down there
let's lay it down
starting
there
with
on the street. They
They
didn't,
had options.
the public did.
And there's something in our shit.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I mean, this is a vision. This is to try to get a plan together. Is this set in stone? No, it's not. Yes, sir, Mr. Cook.
Since we're discussing, if you do the county union, I think is what we're talking about.
Yeah, not a great name.
But anyway, what is the problem of turning this building into a justice center or whatever? You got your courtroom up here, the whole second floor could become jail cells. All you gotta do is move them upstairs. What is the problem?
There again, I don't know that there would be a problem. If that's an idea we need to research, we'll
You're
research
gonna
it.
have rooms up at the other building for all the people down here.
Again, I mean, that's an option.
Say a lot of money.
Sure, it's an option, absolutely.
I mean, it's a building that you can't escape out of if you wanted to anyway. It's a concrete building.
You built a courthouse, the offices for what, $1.5 million, $2 million?
Well, yeah, but you may not even need the courthouse. We'll have all this up here.
Because if you do a justice center, the only offices you would have in your courthouse, if you will, mayor, trustee, register of deeds, assessor of property, that's it. Everything else could be located somewhere else, really. Your fee, constitutional fee offices.
Looks to me like that would save millions of dollars, and it eliminates the parking problems, there's not gonna be that many people here.
Absolutely could be.
It's just something to look at.
Yes, sir. Just like this is something to look at, that's something to look at, absolutely.
One thing I think that could help this county is a good TCATS program.
I
Because you
agree.
start bringing people in here to work,
Yep.
training people to work, you're gonna cut down on your drugs, you're gonna cut down on a lot of things, and you're gonna increase your revenue.
Yes, sir. Oh, I agree. I agree, 100%. But, anything else? Commissioners, citizens, school board, anybody?
You're pretty smart to be a baby.
Why, thank you. God, everybody note that, note that. Frog talks and I'm smart. Put that down.
He's a high
I appreciate that.
Remind you when you're telling different.
That's right. But anything else, folks? This slide, when is our next meeting? Well, I'll tell you what, would you all like for me to go out? I know Sydney had mentioned getting some figures together for the reallocating the other funds, things like that. How about we meet again in April? Does that sound okay? Just to get some thoughts together and folks, I challenge you this too. With the next meeting, bring some people with you. Bring more people in. Let's get a crowd here to get some talk going, okay? So if there's anything else, if not, if there isn't anything else, I'm done. But, there you go. But thank you all for coming out. Have a good night. Thank you, Aaron.